Come on in, come on in. Be my friend. Come on in, come on in. Oh my God, be my friend. They got some new plates in California. Hold the heat. They made out of plastic though. Y'all know what's going on right now? They are talking about this is it right here. It's only been 3 weeks and they already trying to impeach Donald Trump. A liberal meltdown. They having a liberal meltdown right now. This is what I'm finna eat.
It's only been 3 weeks and Democrats want to impeach. Today, Democrat Al Green, not the soul singer, announced he's introducing articles of impeachment against Donald J. Trump because he said he wants to turn the Gaza Strip into Gaza-Lago. Democrats were already losing their minds after Musk froze their foreign aid slush fund.
We will not shut up. We will stand up. We will speak up. We will rise up. What's dangerous is that people who work for USAID are wearing masks to protect themselves from Musk. This is a dictatorship in the making. We're not going to have apartheid in America anymore. Elon Musk has not been elected to anything.
No,
and who the
Donald
hell
Trump
does
was.
Musk think he is? He has
Donald
absolutely no right in shutting down USAID. We cannot allow that. We've got to take to the streets. First and foremost, Elon Musk.
Elon's the first government employee Democrats have ever won a fire. And he's not even taking a salary. We're $36 trillion in debt, and a few pennies got doged, and the Democrats are grabbing bullhorns like Bush after 9/11. Trump and Elon are doing what you do on the first day of prison. You find the baddest guy in the cell block, and you clock him in the face. DOGE froze a $40 billion deep state super PAC and put 10,000 bureaucrats on paid leave. And it happened so fast, one worker had to be rehired to process people's final timesheets. All the expensive artwork hanging in the agency headquarters has been taken down and sold at auction. The website's down, and there's no more Bert and Ernie in Baghdad.
I would just say a strong message to Democrats who are out there pretending to be outraged about the long list of crap that this administration is cutting federal waste and funding, like $2 million for sex changes in Guatemala, $6 million to fund tourism in Egypt, $20 million on a new Sesame Street show in Iraq, $4.5 million to combat disinformation in Kazakhstan. I could go on, and I'm happy to provide this list to every single one of you. Democrats are outraged that the American people want to be, they want their taxpayers going to good uses, not stuff like this.
Well, we can add some more to the list. $43 million on a gas station in Afghanistan that had no customers. Still less, though, than what Biden paid for a charging station here. $1.5 million to promote gays, lesbians, and trans in Jamaica. Jamaican me crazy. $4 million for trans Serbians. $5.5 million for gay rights in Uganda. Over $6 million for men who have sex with men in South Africa. That's just how it was described. $17 million to promote inclusion in Vietnam. It's just probably another way of saying it went to trans. We carpet bond them, and then we paid them to cross-dress. $25 million to promote green transportation in Georgia, not the state, the country. And it's not like we took the money and bought them electric cars. We just paid a shady agency to put up a billboard that says, buy electric cars. $1 million for Arab and Jewish photographers. Are you Jewish? Are you Arab? Do you have cameras? Here's a check. $8 million to teach Sri Lankan journalists how to avoid binary gendered language. Translation, we spent $8 million so that a reporter in Sri Lanka doesn't write he or she. Well, at least nobody died, right? Wrong. $122 million of the USAID money was given to terrorists. The Taliban is taxpayer funded. So was the Wuhan lab, so we're on a roll. The people spending the money can't even tell you why they're spending the money.
USAID awarded $2 million to strengthen trans-led organizations to deliver gender-affirming health care in Guatemala. So to each of you this morning, does this advance the interests of American citizens paying for trannies in Guatemala to the tune of $2 million? Yes or no, Governor?
What does it sound like to y'all?
I have no position.
Of course you don't.
$2 million for sex changes in Guatemala? Despite the blatant waste and corruption, there's a sinister side to all of the gay, lesbian, and trans money we're funneling into other countries. It's subversive. It undermines their traditional culture, their religions, and their governing authority. It divides these countries, it distracts them, and makes it easier for our government to exploit them. David Axelrod told Democrats who are defending this stuff, you're walking into a trap. Rahm Emanuel says you don't have to fight every fight. Wasteful spending isn't the hill I'm going to die on. But trans operas in Colombia are the hill Democrats have chosen to die on.
Yep.
Are they getting kickbacks? We're about to find out. Democrats warn Trump's unelected shadow government is dismantling their...
This is why Donald Trump was put back in office. To stop all the bullshit that the Democrats was putting in place, and they've been putting in place for the last 20 years. They promoting men having sex with men in South Africa, and you would get stoned to death if they smell like you gay in South Africa. You would get stoned to death. You know that? It is against the law for gay people to even pronounce that they gay. You'll go to jail. But the Democrats put all these bullshit laws and all these bullshit. They wasted money on all this bullshit, and none of them want to pay black people reparation. We can't get reparation because they sending money to Guatemala for men to have sex with men. What the fuck is going on in America? Told y'all we had to get rid of Biden. Oh wow. Oh, yeah.
Unelected shadow government. That's how the Babylon Bee puts it. Democrats have been sending your tax dollars to the World Economic Forum so they can tell us to eat bugs. The George Soros Prosecutor Fund got $26 million of your money to what, open jails? USAID brags about overthrowing governments. They bragged about supporting military coups and color revolutions in the Middle East, Asia, and Ukraine. And we just found out the Biden administration was paying the press. During the last 4 years, Politico received $26 million from the federal government. $8 million just last year. The Biden administration was paying a DC insider publication that happened to never report anything bad about the Biden administration. Well, what did they pay for besides good press? The government says it was for subscriptions to Politico Pro. Well, what's Politico Pro? It's supposed to give you inside scoops or exclusive reporting about the federal government. It's been around since 2010, but all of a sudden in 2021, the Biden administration starts buying hundreds of Politico Pro subscriptions. And a subscription runs anywhere from $10,000 to $75,000 a year. Those are like top tier country club dues. For $75,000, this exclusive reporting must be pretty good, right? Now, no one ever read in Politico Pro that Biden was brain dead. Now, if I'm going to pay $75 grand for journalism, I want to know whose coke was in the White House. Politico Pro isn't even for people in government. It's for lobbyists. You pay $75 grand a year for the name and email address of a regulator at the FDA. So you can email them, wine them and dine them at Cafe Milano, and then grease the regs for Pfizer or Kraft or whoever your client is. You find out when the farm bill's about to pass so you can send your lobbyists into the back room and write the bill. It's not for people in the government. What do people at the Department of Energy need to pay $75 grand for to find out what's going on in the Department of Energy? Mayorkas needs to know what's going on with the border bill. All he has to do is call Chuck Schumer. The phone call's free. This doesn't make any sense. The whole thing is a racket. This was a bailout. Biden's government didn't need this. It's a payoff product. Because when they started paying at Politico, they tanked the laptop. They covered up Biden's nap times. The USAID chief, Samantha Power, Politico wrote a puff piece about her, called her a celebrity. Have you ever heard of celebrity Samantha Power? Politico didn't get paid to do journalism. They got paid to stop doing journalism. Now, I read Politico. I read it every day. I like it. It's got good reporting in there. But I'm not funneling $26 million of taxpayer money over there in exchange for good coverage. I'm sure a few people at the federal government have Wall Street Journal subscriptions for $59 a year, not $75,000. And if you're trying to save a few dollars, share your password and logins with your staff. You don't get them all $75,000 a year subscriptions. Primetime reached out to Politico and we didn't hear back. The White House says the government paying journalists, that's getting doged.
But let's have a moment of silence for this fit. Yeah. First of all, look at how cute this is. It's for Valentine's Day. I'm absolutely obsessed. Do I have a man? No. But the fact that I could wear this for Valentine's Day is all I need. I got this from Skims and they have this huge Valentine's Day collection. What I personally love is the fact that they're tall girl friendly. I've been wearing them nonstop since I got them, and I know you want a pair too.
Yeah, that's my Valentine. You're probably wondering why she seems so upset. Well, I couldn't be with her on Valentine's Day, and she's getting...
So upon coming out here to the briefing room, I was made aware of the funding from USAID to media outlets, including Politico, who I know has a seat in this room. And I can confirm that the more than 8 million taxpayer dollars that have gone to essentially subsidizing subscriptions to Politico on the American taxpayers' dime will no longer be happening. The DOGE team is working on canceling those payments now.
How critical is government funding to Politico's bottom line? Not sure, but on the day of the freeze, they couldn't make payroll for a couple hours. It's not just Politico. The New York Times got millions. BBC got money. PolitiFact was funded by the Biden administration. Biden was censoring you and funding independent fact checkers to call you a liar. Kamala took your money and paid Sharpton. Biden took your money, gave it to Politico, gave it to donors to build solar panels. The left somehow looks like one big astroturfed money laundering shell game. Remember, the CIA has a history of planning scoops with journalists.
Disseminate propaganda to influence people's minds. And this is a major function of the CIA. You have contact with a journalist, you will give him true stories, you'll get information from him, you'll also give him false stories. You also work on their human vulnerabilities to recruit them in a classic sense, to make them your agent so that you can control what they do. 400 journalists cooperating with the CIA, including some of the biggest names in the business, to consciously introduce the stories into the press.
Journalists were on CIA payrolls.
Do you have any people being paid by the CIA who are contributing to a major circulation American journal? We do have people who submit pieces to American journals.
So if intelligence agencies, which is kind of what the USAID is financing the American media, that's state-run media. And if Kamala would have won the election, the money would have kept flowing. Politico must have known that. They wrote puff pieces about how fantastic she was. I wonder if that was connected. Don't bite the hand that feeds you. Trump got elected and caught him. We're only in week 3. Who else is getting paid?
Now they're trying to impeach him.
For the most comfortable, luxurious, eco-friendly, and affordable, handcrafted American-made mattresses on the market today. Delivered and set up in any room of your house. Saatva, luxury mattresses made affordable.
Your life may be chaotic, trying to make it to work on time or out at night with friends. Morning, midday, and night, you're on the go. The last thing you need is for your car to have problems. My Lemon Law lawyers are here to...
Midnight deadline now on hold. A federal judge is delaying the buyout offer for millions of federal employees until at least Monday. Meanwhile, thousands of government workers have already accepted the deal. President Trump is defending his proposal for the U.S. to take over Gaza and now says no American soldiers will be necessary. What the White House is saying about how it could work. Plus, a major winter storm is sweeping across the Northeast, bringing ice, snow, and freezing rain. It's creating dangerous driving conditions. You can see this car spin off the road, and a new system could be right behind it. We are tracking it all. And
यहाँ से चले दिल्ली, दिल्ली से दुबई, दुबई से फिर अलग-अलग कंट्रीज की हम मतलब वीजा से निकलते हैं, जैसे ग्वाटेमाला हो गया, पनामा हो गया, और कोस्टा रिका हो गया, कैंकुन.
We travel to a village in India where a supposed travel agent arranges plans for those looking to come to our southern border and into the U.S. But all is not what it seems. What happens when they're handed over to human smugglers? Good evening, everyone. I'm Lindsay Davis. Thanks so much for streaming with us. We begin with the whiplash for nearly 2.5 million federal workers granted a buyout offer and given until midnight tonight to accept it, only to then have a federal judge put it on hold today. The offer came just 9 days ago in the form of an email titled Fork in the Road, the same title Elon Musk used when trying to drastically cut the workforce at Twitter. On Wednesday, that offer was even extended to national security employees, including those at the CIA, after they'd originally been exempted. So what happens now to the more than 60,000 federal workers who accepted the deal? One worker told us it's all kind of a mess. Today, the Office of Personnel Management posted the deferred resignation offer is now extended until Monday. The same day, a federal district court judge will hear arguments to delay the offer even further. The offer still of no help to federal employees placed on leave outright, like those of the Department of Education and USAID. Our senior political correspondent Rachel Scott leads us off from the White House.
Tonight, just hours from the midnight deadline, a federal judge putting President Trump's buyout offer for 2 million federal workers on hold after unions called it arbitrary and unlawful. The White House says the ruling just gives workers more time to take advantage of what they call a once-in-a-lifetime offer.
It's going to save the American people tens of millions of dollars, and we encourage federal workers in this city to accept the very generous offer.
It's been 9 days since federal workers received this email with a stark choice: resign now and be paid through September, or run the risk of being laid off. The email's title, Fork in the Road, the same one billionaire Elon Musk used when he slashed the workforce at Twitter. Sharia Smith, a civil rights attorney at the Department of Education and a union official, calls the offer insulting.
Members of this administration think so little of us and our commitment to the public that we would take an offer like this and end our careers to the public.
But the administration says more than 60,000 government workers have taken the buyout deal. We spoke with one of them who did not want to be identified.
I kind of debated it for the night, and I was like, should I do it? Should I not do it? And then I finally did respond for resign, and then I just waited.
His email was acknowledged, but since then, confusion and frustration.
And so I thought, okay, well, I'll wait maybe a day or two. I'll hear from somebody, and then nothing. Dead silent. I would go to my computer and check, thinking, well, maybe it's late at night and they're working, and nothing would come. And then I was like nervous.
Sharia Smith says workers should not count on this deal.
I don't trust it at all.
Today, President Trump heaping praise on Musk and his overall mission to cut costs.
Elon Musk is helping us on it. And he's pretty good. He's pretty good at it.
Musk and his team digging into federal agencies over the weekend, taking over USAID, the relief agency that helped an estimated 32 million children suffering malnutrition and brought food, water, shelter, and health care to victims of natural disasters. Tonight, sources tell us USAID's global workforce will soon be reduced from roughly 14,000 people to fewer than 300 employees. An internal email shared with ABC News shows just 12 employees to be assigned to the entire continent of Africa and only 21 to the whole Middle East.
Rachel Scott joins us now from just outside of the White House. Back to those buyouts on hold. What comes next?
Yeah, so Lindsay, we are learning that there is going to be another hearing on Monday. So for now, this is temporarily on hold, but tonight the administration is insisting the program has not been blocked or canceled. In fact, they are painting this rosy spin on it, saying that it gives people more time to sign up ultimately. Lindsay.
All right, Rachel Scott for us. Thanks so much, Rachel. Tonight, President Trump is defending his plan for Gaza after declaring the U.S. would own it and that the Palestinians would leave and that Egypt and Jordan would take them in. Tonight, what Egypt had to say to that, and ABC News is learning some of the president's top advisors were caught off guard by it all. Here's ABC's chief White House correspondent, Mary Bruce.
Tonight, amid growing questions and outrage, President Trump defending his announcement that the U.S. would, quote, own Gaza.
I hope my greatest legacy, when it's all finished, will be known as a peacemaker.
Trump writing on social media the Gaza Strip would be turned over to the United States by Israel at the conclusion of the fighting, after Palestinians were resettled in far safer and more beautiful communities with new and modern homes in the region. What Trump hasn't said, what authority does the U.S. have to take over this sovereign territory? Who would pay for rebuilding? The White House insists it won't be the U.S. And who would ultimately govern Gaza and live there? Trump initially said it was his intention to remove Palestinians from Gaza permanently. The White House then walking that back, saying it would be temporary. The president suggesting Jordan and Egypt would take the Palestinians. But Egypt today completely rejecting that idea, calling Trump's plan a blatant violation of international law, saying Egypt will not be a part of it. The former real estate developer adamant that he can turn Gaza into one of the greatest and most spectacular developments of its kind on Earth without the U.S. military getting involved, declaring no soldiers by the U.S. would be needed. Making the rounds on Capitol Hill, Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu backing Trump's plan, which he's called the first good idea he's heard.
Mr. Netanyahu, do you think militaries are needed in Gaza?
Are we in?
To make this peaceful?
No.
The president suggested the plan was long in the works.
Everybody I've spoken to loves the idea of the United States owning that piece of land.
But tonight we've learned many of his top advisors were caught off guard. Officials at the Pentagon unaware. Some of the president's top allies on the Hill blindsided.
Well, obviously, Gaza's not ours. It's sovereign. It's part of another country, right? And all that needs to be worked out.
We're joined now by Oregon Democratic Senator Jeff Merkley. Senator, thank you so much for your time tonight. You're the top Democrat on the Senate Budget Committee. You and your colleagues held the floor overnight to protest the White House Budget Office nominee, Russell Vogt. You said our constituents, our Constitution are under attack by Donald Trump and Russell Vogt. Beyond theatrics like that, like last night, what can Democrats do if you all believe that laws really are being broken?
Well, certainly we're ringing the alarm bells all across America. We have seen on Russell Vogt's strategy for the first 180 days, of course we're only 2 weeks into it, that he already has plotted breaking the laws regarding the fire and inspector generals of individuals who serve on groups like the National Labor Relations Board, and most importantly, his impoundment of funds, which is both illegal and unconstitutional.
Late today, a judge paused those buyout offers to government employees. Some of your fellow Democrats have suggested that they anticipate the administration may just ignore court orders. Do you expect that that's going to happen, and what can be done about that?
Well, this is where the foundation of law is so important to our nation, because the law doesn't say you have to give 30 days notice to fire an inspector general and you have to give cause. I mean, it doesn't say that, but it doesn't have a penalty, because the assumption is that the executive will follow the law. And when the executive doesn't follow the law, and when the architect of the president's first 180 days, Russell Vogt, comes into our offices and says they're going to do what they want regardless of what the law says, that is a direct attack on the vision of a republic, where Congress makes the laws, the president implements them. The president doesn't get to make the laws and implement them, but that is the imperial presidency that radical Russell Vogt wants to create and is in the process of creating right before our eyes.
You said Republican allies are critical for any political resistance. Have you had any conversations with any of your Republican colleagues, perhaps in private, where anyone expresses concern about what's going on?
Yes, there is a significant amount of concern. It includes, for example, the nominations that have become before, like the nominee for Secretary of Defense, and colleagues saying, well, we understand he's terribly unfit, but it's really hard for us to say no to President Trump. He's the head of our team, and quite frankly, he's threatening retribution against us if we don't follow him. They are very nervous, shaking their boots really, about standing up for the Constitution and standing up to Donald Trump.
So you would say that it's unlikely that anyone will do anything about it?
Well, I don't think we're going to see Republicans join us in stopping him tonight. That's extremely unfortunate. This particular nomination hasn't gotten as much attention nationally as some of the others, like Hegseth and like Tulsi Gabbard and so forth. And so they feel a little safer because their constituents aren't familiar with it. That's why we went all night, was to say to the American people, pay attention. The other folks may be scary, but they will have deputies who help moderate and make up for their lack of knowledge or their radical views.
You also are part of the Committee on Foreign Relations. As you well know, the U.S. was responsible for roughly 50% of global foreign aid. That faucet, at least temporarily, has been turned off. The debate aside over whether it should start again, do Democrats, in your estimation, need to start picking and choosing the things to really fight for? And is foreign aid the battle that your party should be picking?
Listen, if the president wants to change foreign aid, you do it by putting forward your budget, You do it by pushing for what the spending bills have in them. You can do it by vetoing a spending bill if you don't like it. The president has all kinds of influence. But to shut down the programs that are already in the law, that's both illegal and unconstitutional, and has created massive chaos.
Senator Jeff Merkley of Oregon, we thank you so much for your time. Appreciate it.
A pleasure to be with you. Take care now.
I'm Susan Owen from Opioid Injury Law.
So Trump is smart. He's firing all the people who supported the Democratic Party on all angles of bullshit. Now, if you was Trump, you can't get mad at what he's doing.
Pausing or limiting 3 of President Trump's initiatives today. ABC News legal contributor Kim Whaley joins us now to take a look at those. Kim, thanks for joining us. Let's start with the federal employee buyouts. Less than 12 hours before the deadline, a judge blocked the government from enforcing the directive until at least Monday. What are the legal issues here?
Well, the challengers are basically saying that this wasn't done through a normal deliberative process. They're suing the government under the administrative.
The challengers, they ain't got that. That's the people that's getting fired. They ain't got nothing to do with it. How y'all doing? Push that like button. 1, 2, Freddie, come on in. King Sims, what's up, man? Yo, Phillips. Hey, check this out. Life is too beautiful. Who else in here? Sapphire, how you doing? Rena Love, hey, baby girl. Come on in, push that like button. If y'all not used to following me, I would ask for you to acknowledge yourself. If you leave a comment, if you acknowledge yourself, I will acknowledge you. A lot of people that's in the feed right now. Let's see, who is this? Donald Trump is bright. Yeah, Donald Trump is very bright, and he's fucking up heads right now.
Supreme Court. I mean, it's pending, I think, in 6 different jurisdictions. This is the second time a judge not only has struck down the order or stalled the order, but in very strong language. Both of these judges were somewhat astonished that the arguments even being made that there are any constraints on birthright citizenship. It's in the Constitution in response to a horrific case called Dred Scott that limited...
We're going to go back a little bit.
Yet, but essentially, they're also claiming this is really duping these folks, that there are certain agencies that are understaffed, and to so sort of dangle over their heads that they could lose their jobs if they don't accept this buyout on the theory of cutting government is a little bit cynical and really aimed at replacing these folks with loyalists to Donald Trump, not so much making the government more efficient.
Now, a second federal judge issued a nationwide injunction against President Trump's executive order on birthright citizenship. How do you see that playing out?
This is going to go all the way to the Supreme Court. I mean, it's pending, I think, in 6 different jurisdictions. This is the second time a judge not only has struck down the order or stalled the order, but in very strong language. Both of these judges were somewhat astonished that the arguments even being made that there are any constraints on birthright citizenship. It's in the Constitution in response to a horrific case called Dred Scott that limited the citizenship of a formerly enslaved person. And in 1898, the United States Supreme Court rejected the arguments that the Trump administration is making right now for limiting citizenship to only people with parents with certain kinds of status. But I think they are heading to the Supreme Court and hoping that the far-right conservative majority, 3 of whom Donald Trump put on the bench, will flip the precedent, rewrite Article 4 of the 14th Amendment to kind of rubber stamp and come behind Donald Trump in this really pretty audacious argument.
Do you think that there's a chance they might do that?
Well, you know, Lindsay, I would have said no a few years ago, but in the immunity case last summer, they really did ignore plain language of the Constitution and manufactured a new provision of criminal immunity under Article 2. So they're willing to go really out on a limb. They don't deserve the moniker conservative because they're not actually exercising their discretion in a way that seems bounded by the plain language of the Constitution. So unfortunately, I would not put that past them.
All right, and we also have a judge that limited Elon Musk's DOGE's group access to Treasury Department records. Break that one down for us.
Yeah, so this was this lawsuit's filed against the Secretary of the Treasury, essentially saying handing over the keys to the massive database of personal taxpayer information, social security numbers, actual bank account information. If you've ever received your refund on your taxes through automatic deposit, that now is in the hands of Elon Musk. They're arguing again, this is not a thought out, deliberative change in governmental policy, so it violates Administrative Procedure Act, but they're also saying it violates the Privacy Act and also the Internal Revenue Code because it involves tax information. And there are very careful procedures that have to be followed. There has to be notice to the public, lots of disclosures before tax